All systems nominal. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Signal array locked. Packet sync confirmed. Welcome all. You're connected to the Konotop Deep Space Signal Relay.
Happy New Year. 2025, we're back and just starting off the year with some pretty relaxed streams, I think. At the minute, I've got quite a few ideas and bits and pieces that are not music related, so this is going to be a bit of a change. I've done a few streams in the past where I was drawing and doing some 3D modeling and stuff, and I got all excited about the idea that that was going to become a new part of what I did online, and then I dropped it completely and didn't follow up on it. And the main reason for that was I didn't really have that sort of fire in me about the particular thing that I was working on. This could be different. I've got plenty of ideas that are driving me to do that kind of artwork, and there's somebody else working with me on it. So I'm not going to spoil too much of that at this early stage. I am going to be available to talk about anything music related if people in chat want to do that. So that's all cool. There's nothing off limits in that sense. But this is, for me, going to be a very relaxed session. I'm just going to do some sketching and get my practice up and in the sort of artwork that I'd like to develop. I've just warmed up a little bit. I'm using Critter here. It's very, very powerful package, and I'm still getting to grips with it a little bit. But yeah, I'm sort of working on figure drawing, faces, and the majority of what I'm trying to do is drawing from imagination. Obviously, that takes an awful lot of skill to be able to do properly, or to do it to a high level. There's a few things that I've been reading. Andrew Loomis, I've been reading Bridgman and trying to follow some of the traditional artist instruction manuals and things like that. And yeah, without sort of further ado, I'm going to just carry on sketching. I will mutter to myself probably as I do it, and if anybody pops in the chat, then please do say hi. Ask me any questions you might have. Tell me I've got proportions incorrect if that's the case. That's all fine. I am no expert at this. I love drawing. I always have done, particularly as a kid. It was one of my things, and in recent years I've kind of put it to one side too much. I've always been sort of sketching when I was away on holiday and things like that, but the thing that I've found difficult is I've never really had a project and known what to draw. So for that reason, I've kind of went in fits and starts. I would like draw from life or draw sort of architecture and things when, as I say, when I was somewhere nice and exciting and new on holiday. And I would sort of sit on the beach perhaps and draw people when my brain was clear of normal day-to-day stuff. But then when it came to sort of sitting at home and spending my free time, I might have wanted to draw, but I could never really think of what I should be drawing. So that's kind of why I haven't followed up on that passion as much as I would have liked. So with a long story short is, when I first started off doing YouTube and explored the music that I do, that was very much a case of focusing on one of my hobbies and seeing how far I could push myself with it, and to basically try and exclude a lot of the other stuff that I did. And the reason for that was I really wanted to. What am I trying to say? I wanted to try and get some results in something because doing too many hobbies or too many sort of different activities can often mean, or certainly meant for me, that I would do a lot of them to a very sort of basic level or to a very kind of substandard level because they were just hobbies as opposed to being sort of career or sort of professional level tasks. So yeah, that's the rationale behind that. And I am really sketching and trying to find the shapes. Here we go. So the faces is something that I've worked on quite a lot over the last couple of weeks during the Christmas holidays. It's been good. I've kind of found a lot more instruction books. And that's helped me to sort of nail down some of the core principles. So I feel a little bit like I'm actually getting better. And it's happened quite quickly. I'm not saying that I'm getting where I need to be or want to be for the project that I'm looking at, but it's certainly getting me somewhere. So let's get eye shapes in there. And having a decent handle on the skull formation has really helped me a little bit to suss that kind of face structure out. So that's working okay. And one thing that I learned today is if you think of I'm going to do this on another layer. Paint there. Think of an ellipse that kind of comes from here around here, and that ellipse has a bulge on it. So if I get my perspective right, it kind of comes out like that, and the mouth sits outward on that bulge to some extent. So let me get that opacity down. If you're in the chat, say hello. It's nice to have a bit of company sometimes, particularly if I'm sitting here by myself scribbling. Okay, so I've got pencil, black, there we go. So that can kind of come out. And mouths is something that I'm really struggling with still at the minute. I need to do a bit more study. Let's get rid of that. That's not too terrible. I think a lot of the instructions that I've seen, or the tuition that I've been reading for drawing mouths, suggests that you kind of want to shade rather than create an actual line work a lot of the time. So that's a very hard rubber. As opposed to having sort of tough line work around it. Sometimes better just to sketch in some shadow where there's shadow. Let's get a bit more on the eyes. think my resolution might be a little bit low here. And this is coming out very sketchy, partly for that reason. Yeah, let's take all that and blow it up a bit. How do I do that? I think I want like a lasso tool. There we go. I think there's a sharper pencil here that I could use. That's a bit better. This is where I still need to learn all the settings in Critter. So I've got to, that eye's quite a lot a bit out. Let's go. I think that might be a bit better position. Looks a bit bug-eyed. Anyway, right. I don't want to go too into the rendering side of all this. I just wanted to try and get a cleaner figure or cleaner shape to it all. Let's take another angle. And I've never used the circle tool, which is ridiculously basic as a concept, I'm sure, but there we go. How do I change the stroke size? That'll do. Could use that just for construction. No. I don't know. Why is that layer not going to the bin? There we go. I think I should have done that with lower opacity. So let's do that. That's more what I was after. So this is the brow line. And then we want to chisel out this bit, which is called the Apparently it's called the glabella, I think, in terms of actual anatomy. And then we'll get the nose. This is going to be quite a bizarre angle. We'll be able to see up the nose. And then we'll get the eyes sort of here-ish. As I say, this is all practice. I'm not aiming for a particular thing. Hi, Emo. Nice to see you. Thanks for popping in, mate. I'm here to basically enjoy myself just doing some drawing. I am also able to chat. Hey, Jonathan Wood. Nice to see you. Thanks for popping in. Traditionally, I do music on this channel, but I also do whatever the hell I want because it's my channel. But if you've got questions on music or you want to talk about anything like that, then that's cool. Today, though, I'm just enjoying drawing because I've got a bit of a project that I'm kind of starting on, and I'm trying to get myself practiced again in all this. Yeah, it's all creation, as you say, Emo. I need to stretch these muscles of visualizing and drawing from imagination, because it's something that I really want to get good at. I've done quite a lot of sketching from sketching of architecture and things like that, as I was muttering away to myself about earlier on. But I've done very little in the way of kind of project-based stuff. It's no different to sound when you get to the frequency side of things. Color is sound, is frequency. Yes, I completely agree. And the other side to it is the concept of practice and things like that. Johnny, am I doing karate still? No, I'm not, unfortunately. The very short version is I lost track of an instructor that I was really enjoying training with, and I also got an injury, so I kind of stopped. I would love to go back to it one day, but I think I would go back to it in a different form, probably Tai Chi or another martial art or something like that, or certainly at a club that was a lot less physical compared to what I was doing. Because the instructor that I got in touch with was fantastic. He was a guy called Ben Ryder, and he did a lot of jiu-jitsu style stuff. I mean, it was all karate because it was all based on the kata and things like that. But every session we did was sort of like sparring and wrestling, not like punching, kicking in a free form, more kind of wrestling and then using joint locking and takedowns and being aware of what you might get in the way of an incoming punch or something like that, and making sure that you were sort of thinking about that. As I say, it was all based on the kata, and it was fantastic. Ekmar, thank you for coming. Nice to see you. So yeah, the karate thing, yeah, it's kind of gone by the wayside. If the right club came around or the right instructor popped up, or if I just kind of had the time and the space to just do it myself, then I would probably do that. But I have become a 47-year-old male with a busy job, too many hobbies, and a fucked up arm. So yeah, this is a face that's kind of coming together. I would probably want to try and get the eyes a little bit more accurate now. Positioning right is the battle. I think that's kind of there. There's so many work streams, or not work streams, elements to the kind of drawing that I want to do, which some of which I kind of knew about a week or two ago, some of which have come up as problems that I'm suddenly solving now. One of them is gesture drawing, because the project that Ekmara and I are doing is going to involve figures in all sorts of different kind of activities. It won't just be like static faces and people talking and stuff. There's going to be action and all this sort of stuff. And as I say, I want to do as much as I can from what's the word I'm looking for? From imagination. And to get life into figures, there's sort of a technique, I don't know if any of you know about this. It's called gesture drawing. It's basically as quickly as you can trying to get a figure and express the movement and the emotion in it with very little line work. It might be something, if you've got a figure dancing, it might be a case of like the arms are doing this kind of thing, head's back at an angle, the body's kind of contorting, and then you might have a leg back here and a leg kind of here or something. As I say, it's something that I have yet to really dig into. There's lots of resources about it, and it's another thing that I want to learn. But I just wanted to kind of really get my fundamentals right in terms of perspective, some basic faces, some basic anatomy and things like that. Suddenly remembering art school proportion portrait trick. Old memories from about 92. Like we used to put small ticks either side of things to reference moving. Okay. Yeah, proportions and stuff are something that I have to work at really hard. And then after like a week or so of drawing regularly, they sort of start to become a bit easier for me to just do on the fly. These faces, I've got no reference or anything at the minute. I'm just kind of scribbling. And the proportions are coming out okay now. A week or so ago, it was horrific. Let me get... Let's jump back to... Where are we? I've got my sketchbook here, and what sort of started off as some kind of pretty basic faces. This is Archer. I decided to copy Archer because I was in the middle of watching. Yeah, I've kind of gone from pretty ropey faces, I think, now to stuff that's perhaps a little more accurate. And when I get some reference in front of me, I feel a lot more like I can sort of capture things. But doing it just from imagination is challenging. But that's what it's all about. Doing the people is the actual kind of body. What's going on here? Brush sizes have gone funny. Yeah, trying to do full bodies is giving me headaches at the minute. But one of the things that I've been studying is an old, very traditional art book by a guy called George Bridgman, and it's like super classic text. Traditional art students use it. It's pretty incomprehensible in places, unless you have a tutor to sort of run you through it. And I found a YouTube video where there is a fantastic tutor who's kind of explained what the original text is trying to get at. And one of the techniques that it used was to sort of suggest that you need 3 cuboids, like I've got here, for the main structures of the torso and the head. And then you can use that as a guide to then kind of draw everything else. So one exercise might be to kind of practice with a few of these at various different kind of crazy angles, and then see if you can build them up into a character. And the funny thing is, I find that my mind, when I've got these blocks, is able to sort of imagine what that character might be doing a little bit. I will try and do it with this one here. Let's do that. So let's just drop the opacity of this down a bit, and we'll work on this one. Ekmai, I've decided in... Oh, shit, I'm off screen. 1 second. Where are we? There we go. That's what I was trying to show you. There's these sort of sketch boxes here. Sorry, I was off screen when I was doing that. Ekmai says, I decided in the early 90s that my malformed figures and faces were the style, leaning into the monstrous or alien. If I took my time, of course, things would look normal, but never quick. I think there's a really strong case for that. I reckon there's a good chunk of my time that I've spent drawing has been focused too much on trying to get like idealized shapes and forms and stuff, and not enough in expression, which is why I say that gesture drawing kind of stuff is something that I'm bad at and haven't done enough of. I focused a lot on this kind of thing as opposed to just trying to draw dynamic figures and exciting figures. Emo says, our art teachers were 2 brothers, Mr. R. McKillop and Mr. F. McKillop, with their own wing to themselves in the school, pottery room in between that could make room 1 and 2. Got suspended for drawing a Bart Simpson dressed in army khaki side of the sports hall with chalk. Well, if the art teachers liked it, then that's cool. I can't believe he got suspended for that. Jesus, that's a bit nasty. So if the torso's doing that, then I've got to think in terms of chest here. God, this is going to be a tough one for me to figure out even slightly. I'm not going to be able to get this looking great because I don't know the anatomy well enough even slightly, but we've got some creasing here and some stretching here. This is the pelvis. And I don't know my muscle structures well enough either. I'm just basically early stages. Got muscle stretching there. That's your, what's it called? Clavicle, collarbone. That's one of the fixed points that you have to visualize, I'm told, as is the corner of the rib cage here and here. As I say, you got potentially bulges there. And then I've got to figure out what the rest of the gesture would be. Well, this arm is clearly going up somehow. And don't get me started on hands. Ema says it was big, our size, and the worst battle axe teacher of all found it and went to the headmaster. Was during morning break. I had tea and scones while doing it. That's like getting suspended in style. Tea and scones. That's not a very big upper body. And this is where it all goes to shit. Because I don't know any of this part of the anatomy properly for drawing. So that's that way, yeah, that way. That's turned out better than I'd feared, albeit it's not amazing. Could I put a face on it? Did everybody have a good Christmas? I hope you did. Ours was very chilled. We didn't even kind of nip out for walks or anything like that, really. It was just like sit, eat, veg, out, and I had a couple of people round, but nothing major. Built Lego for the most part. Oh, that's pretty good. Nothing wrong with built Lego. When I was really young, that was definitely my thing. Then I moved on to Warhammer. I've still got a soft spot in my heart for Lego. My my nephews, I think, are kind of into it, but I don't get a chance to see them very often. I can't tell proportions-wise how I'm doing that with that. Head's a bit small. Definitely a funny angle. That neck's broken. So yeah, that's kind of a part of what I need to work on next. Is first of all that kind of gesture of what the figure's doing, and then construction with the cubes, and then so that would be kind of that sort of cuboid, and then learn all the anatomy that goes along with it. So I've got, as I say, I've got some basics under my belt, but practice. Another thing that's been quite exciting today is I went to the library and I pulled out a few classic comic books, partly for reference, partly just to sort of learn the techniques of how you might lay out panels and look at what the experts have done. So the Batman Killing Joke, that's written by Alan Moore, who I already have Watchmen, that was written by him, and the artwork's by Brian Boland. Now, the actual artists from comic books are kind of like unknown to me. I don't really know who's who. I got that one out, V for Vendetta, which again is also by Alan Moore. And this is a lot less detailed in the color work, but the inking is fantastic. And that's something that I would love to learn. I mean, look at that. I'd love to learn a bit more about how to get that sort of massive contrast between light and dark to work, to do some sort of noir stuff. Do you do much shading technique? If I've done anything of note, it's been sketching. And for that reason, I do a lot of sketching. I do a lot of shading in my sketches, but I never, in recent years, I haven't taken a piece to what you might call like a completed stage for a long, long time. How much shading do I do? Let me have a look. I'll get one of my older sketchbooks. Just 1 second. So, I don't even know which one this is. So, I mean, as far as inking goes, camera's there. That's about as good as I get, or have got. I tend to do quite a lot of, that was done from imagination. I tend to do quite a lot of line work. A doodler, yes, I am a doodler. I've messed about with markers and stuff. But I'm happiest with pencil. That's probably kind of as good as my shading gets. Those are obviously from photograph references. But I mean, this is gesture drawing, or my sort of gesture drawing. It's capturing motion, keeping sort of as much of the life of the figure as you can in as few moves as you can. So as these pages progressed, that was all one sort of half an hour long session. The kind of figures got better. I felt like I was capturing what actually was going on with the people, with fewer lines. So that was 2016. And then I started sort of spending a little longer on them. So that was like maybe 5 minutes per sketch. And then I started to get a bit cocky. And I did them just straight in ink, which sort of worked. But again, those are all from reference rather than being from imagination. So I'd love to sort of have a style of my own that would sort of work as quickly as I could put those down. But again, those are sort of copying from life. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's no reason why it should all be 100% from imagination. There's plenty of reference out there, and I'm sure professional artists use reference in front of them all the time. But to be able to just kind of sit there and go, I'm going to draw Superman flying at whatever angle I choose, and not have to think about, or let me go and find a picture of a human skull, or where's the biceps go, and all this kind of stuff, just to have it in your mind and be able to do it. That's what I aspire to. So there we go. Used to love getting art homework. used to have to draw outside a bedroom window, etc., for homework. Our art teachers were cool. I had some good art teachers, but the person that set me off being interested in drawing was a friend of our family's. I think he was a technical draftsman, and he had some classic texts when I was a kid that he gave to me, one of which was a book by Andrew Loomis, which is quite a famous one, figure drawing for all it's worth. And I looked at it and I read it through quite a lot when I was younger, but I was too young to really sort of say, right, I'm going to learn this from step by step. And then for whatever reason, I lost the book or didn't have the book anymore. But in recent years, I've kind of jumped back in and seen if I could do that kind of stuff. I was thinking, without doing all of the kind of construction, just to try and do a face and see if I can get the proportions right just by eye. Let's see what we can do. In a minute, I'll show you something else cool that I found out about today in Critter. It's not something that I'm going to be able to use because I don't know how to paint traditionally even. And it will distract me from what I'm trying to achieve with all this kind of stuff. But still, it was so cool that I couldn't stay away from it. It's a bit close in. That's very comic booky. That mouth is too wide. The tools in Critter are amazing. They really are. Yeah, I'll show you what else I was looking at. So this is the sketching tab. I downloaded some brushes after I saw a YouTube video about them, and these are incredible. They're supposed to replicate oil painting, and the level of detail that it gives you with them is amazing. It's just loading them up, so it might take a second. Come on. Hopefully this isn't going to kill the stream. Here we go. So watch this. Just looks so real, like oil paint. And then when you zoom in, you can see all of the brush strokes. There's like 3D depth to the way the paint works. Absolutely amazing. So, but I don't know how to paint, so I'm not gonna not gonna do too much with those really. I would completely distract myself from learning the stuff that I'm trying to learn. Swooper group, yeah, it's like you can almost feel the thickness of the paint. What else is interesting is there's like a proper set of inking tools as well. So paintbrush, obviously, changes in depth and thickness for the pressure. You've got like a fine liner. There's a crow quill here as well somewhere. So again, that only goes to a certain thickness depending on how hard you press, whereas the other one's like crazy flexible. And this one's got like texture in it. So if I zoom in, you can see it's more jagged. But the other thing is, if you were into doing like comic books, you could also do your shading with the halftone effect. So that would be neat. Yeah, so much cool stuff in here that I would get way off base. So, oops, let's get back to the right kind of brush. Sketching, there we go. Right, so yeah, geometry of the face I've learned quite a lot about that I didn't know before. Human skull. So it's the eye sockets dip in. You've got a ridge that sticks out there, and then there's the nasal cavity. I'm doing this not to educate necessarily, but more to kind of practice for myself as well. So I might as well tell you what I'm trying to remember, and then I'll check against a proper photo in a bit. You've got like a ridge line over here that's not terribly visible with all the skin on and everything, but it's there. And as I say, this kind of dips in. This bit protrudes out. This is the zygomatic arch. And then it all kind of comes out here. And this is like a cylindrical bit for the jaw. And that bit disappears off, almost like a bit of pair of spectacles around the side. That goes just like above your, just towards your ear. And then the jaw comes in from behind this bit. Clearly you've got teeth here. And if I remember this correctly, there's like a cavity there. And a cavity there. And then the jaw has actually got like two hinge points, or two bits that go up into a hinge. And then you've got like a recess there. And that comes in up behind this. That eye socket looks a bit big, but we'll go with it. And I'm going to check my accuracy in a minute. Something feels wrong with this. That's better, because that's this bit here sticking out on that side. Let me see if I can find an actual picture online. And see how close I got. Not too bad. I didn't make enough of... Where did I put my pen? There we go. I didn't make enough of this bit here, clearly. Oops. Yeah, this bit here and the recess behind it is a lot more dramatic than I showed. What else have we got? Ah, I missed something pretty fundamental as well. That bit was okay. The way this part of the zygomatic arch comes in is actually more downward. Yes, because this plane is more kind of like forward facing. Yeah, okay. So there's a few bits and pieces that I missed out on there. Good practice. What else is there? Jaw kind of looks okay. There's more to it than I showed though. In terms of this lump here. The last unicorn. Not sure what you mean there, Jason. This brow doesn't come out enough on mine. I don't think. I started to emphasize it with this ridge line here, but not enough. And then I missed the profile of it there. Anything else? You've got the actual auditory canal hole there. And then there's a lump. This is so difficult to sort of pick up on without an actual physical object. Just looking at it on YouTube or looking at it on photos is pretty tough to get. I don't like what I did with the nose at all. There's an animated skeleton gatekeeper. Okay. I don't think I've seen that. If I have seen it, it's not for a long time. Another thing that I did wrong was I thought the nose protruded in front of this part of the top of the mandible. It doesn't, it would seem. It just comes straight down from it. Okay, that's good to know. So that comes down like that. Yeah, that's the bit that I really got wrong. And you might ask yourself, well, why the hell do you need to know all the details of a skull? The answer is because it does come through in here. And if you understand the planes and the shapes and the way the kind of bone structure works, that really does come through in the face of a person with flesh on. Because the more of this kind of stuff I've learned, the better my faces are coming out. Clearly they're not awesome, but they're getting better. So yeah. Let's do another one. We did a circle before. That was kind of helpful. That didn't work. It's too thick. Okay. What kind of angle am I going for? Let's try this side. I haven't got any music playing because I don't know what playlists I should use without screwing up YouTube's copyright stuff. I need to look into that. I could, of course, put some of my own music on, but I didn't get around to doing that, and B, I kind of thought techno might be a bit much for a relaxing art stream. Whereas I've taken the time to learn the configuration of the skull to a certain level, I can't do mouths yet. I've not really studied enough about that yet. So we got that. Eyes I've had a go at, so let me see if I can put some more detail into the eye. So I can do a tear duct. I can get the iris of the eye or cornea of the eye, and I make sure the top edge of it is cut off so that you don't end up with like a staring look. So we have an eyelid that comes down quite a lot, and I've got to think about perspective with this as well. So the top eyelid might come like that. Bottom eyelid will tuck underneath. And then because this is all spherical, you'd have the bottom of the eyelid showing there. That's kind of okay for my liking. And then this is where it all goes to cock. I have to try and do the same on the other side. Nope. And then these creases are obviously like bits of shadow and where the top of the eyelid folds in to the rest of the eye socket. That's not too bad. But as I say, mouths, I don't know yet how to do that. Let's give it a go. Top lip. And bottom lip. Chin shadow. No, that's horrible. Can't do that. And then this bit on the skull here is particularly flattened, it would seem. So we can afford to cut that off. We've got the zygomatic arch coming back there. So yeah, this is doing my head in. Let's do something from reference. Just trying to find a decent picture that I can sketch from. Whoops, what happened there? Oh, I know why. There we go. Try and find a bit of space. There we go. Seeing a bit of Peter Weller in the last face. Maybe. He looks a bit distressed. This eyebrow up here is like, oh my god. Right, let's go for this. I actually want to sketch first in a more rough way and see how I go with that. Murphy's going to get turned into Robocop. Dead or alive, you're coming with me. I don't know if this process is going to help me or hurt me, but this is obviously a lot rougher as a tool, this pencil brush, than the one that I was using just now. And I'm just thinking of sort of like blocking in areas to give me the form. Oh, it's so much nicer just to copy than it is to think too hard from the outset. If this is interesting to you, or you're just enjoying chilling out with me, then that's cool. Please let me know by liking the stream or putting a comment or something like that. That would be really cool if that turned out to be the case, because as I say, I've always loved drawing. I've always felt that it was something that I had the potential to get better at with the time and the practice if I had the kind of habit, and the habit could only come if I had the right project to work on. Unfortunately, I'm just that way inclined. I feel it's very difficult to go at something regularly if there's not an overarching theme on it, and thankfully I've kind of got that theme running at the minute. Ekmar, if you want to talk about that in chat, you can, or if you want me to start talking about it, you can. Otherwise, we'll announce when we're ready. This is actually coming out all right, I think. For me, anyway. Got some shadow there. Hey, Wabbit, how you doing? Happy New Year to you, sir. You managed to tear yourself away from the L6, Zoom L6, I think it is, that you've been raving about. I'm glad that's working out for you. That seems good to find a piece of kit that's enthusing you. Nope, going to bed with it at night. Easy, gently does it. Okay, I'm getting somewhere here. kind of looks a bit more feminine than my reference. I think that could be partly the lips I've made oversized, but it is what it is at the minute. Let's get some hair in place. Jason's having fun dancing around talking about our projects while dropping stuff in our Discord chat. Good. I'm glad that you're enjoying the process too. I'm not going to win. What's the word I'm looking for? Let the cat out of the bag too much. But yeah, Jason and I are. We're throwing ideas at each other. We're coming up with storyline ideas and a world of our own that we can perhaps develop into some comic style art. Hence the reason I'm getting back into drawing, and not just getting back into drawing, but trying to improve at drawing. That's as much as I'll say at the minute. And the main reason that I'm not going to say any more is because I've done too many things in the past where I've said, hey, I'm going to do this and this is going to be amazing and I'm dead excited. And then either I go off the boil with it or it just turns out to be something that doesn't take off and therefore I get disheartened. But having Jason's input and Jason's partnership on it means that I've got more accountability to concern myself with, and I get all the inspiration that comes with his cool input. And we're kind of feeding off each other's ideas. It's really good. So this bit here cuts very hard. And that's quite a strong jawline there. I should credit whoever this is in this photograph, shouldn't I? Nicolo.move and Mike Love. I'm guessing photographers on Instagram. So, yes, thank you to them for the reference image. It's amazing how often we look at people in real life and yet still I don't know how ears physically work as a shape, knowing the form of an ear. That's kind of not too bad. Now, the truth is, this is about as far as I often take my sketches in my sketchbook, which for me is fun. If I was to need to do any more than that, I'd find it challenging. Which is why when I go the next step, which is what I'm thinking of, and then go to inks in a comic book kind of style, this is going to be tough. I'm going to find this difficult. And I'm going to find it difficult not just from the point of view of I don't know the tool set in Critter, but also the technique to get the sort of look that one would see in a comic book. That's new to me as well. Ekmar, having so much fun. Hey, the more likes a vid gets in the first hour, the more almighty algorithm likes it and increases presence in recommendations. I didn't know the first hour was that important. Oh, that's good to know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is where good control over your pen settings and everything like that is key for comic books. I don't think I've got that yet. Shows eagerness in viewership, even though I'm eager and keep missing that hour. Yeah, so that eye looks ropey as hell once I've inked it because that angle's all wrong. I think decent artists will take one go at a line like that. And then if they get it wrong, they'll just delete and go again until they've got it right first time. Like that. That pen's a bit too finicky for me. I could spend forever on one line and still not be happy with that. Right. Actually, I'm doing that the wrong way. Sorry, I'm absorbed. I'm not capable of talking and thinking that hard at the same time. Let's get that there. So this is where the pencils, if they're really good, mean that I wouldn't have to look at the reference so much, but clearly they're not that sharp. And what I should have done is that line all in one go. So let's go down like that. How dare you start entering flow state, Mike? Yeah. There's a certain amount of it that I can talk through. Some things it wasn't flow state so much as shit, I'm panicking now. Let's do. Yep, my brush control is horrid. Try again. That's the wrong way. That should be thin to thick to thin again. Let's do this right before I really lose the plot, and then I think I'll be calling it a day. I've figured out a major problem. That eye is way away from the nose. That's bad. I've not foreshortened things enough. All right. Let's get that. Oh, terrible. No, there's some fundamental mistakes there. I need to work with better pencil lines to get the structure right first. That'll teach me. Now, I can see a lot of flaws in this, but it's coming out better than I'd feared for my first kind of go, A, on stream, and B, using the digital tools for this kind of thing. Yeah, not terrible. So that's that. Nose. Cross-hatching and stuff is something that I really don't have much technique with either. So I was sticking with standard line work. Let's do the ear. I'm starting to feel a bit more comfortable with this brush. Maybe overcooked that. So we probably want a bigger range for the hair. Here we go. What I should have done is left like some white in here when I did those brush strokes to sort of emphasize the highlights. In hindsight, that's easy to say. So, what's that going to look like if I hide my pencils? Well, it's the first time I've done that, so I'm relatively okay with that. Looks a bit amorphous around this edge here. Hair's not as terrible as I thought. Leave some comments. Let me know how terrible that was for a first go. As I say, I'm probably going to do more of this, particularly if people like it. I'm enjoying it, and I've got a reason to do it now, not just it's a hobby. There's something else coming up that's going to draw on all of that kind of sort of activity, and if I can build up my skills enough to do some good stuff with it, then that'll be satisfying as well. So thank you for those of you who have tuned in today. Really appreciate that. That's really cool. And I will catch up with you soon. So yeah, have a good first couple of weeks in January, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.